and welcome into this week's edition of the Citrus Preps podcast alongside Mike Dean. I'm Brett Knudsen, and we are just absolutely flying through the fall sports schedule. It is about to be week 7 of the high school football season, and that's hard to believe. And you look at some of the other sports, talk a little volleyball. They've got a week left really in the regular season before you get into conference tournaments and then district tournaments and all that good stuff. So it's flying by.
Gone.
And it's not too long before we're talking about basketball and all the winter sports as well.
Really.
So
soccer's coming up and getting ready to go.
I mean,
wow.
it's almost time for tryouts. Before we get into another week of high school football, just want to talk a little girls volleyball this week. A couple of great starts to the season, and the season coming to a close. Lecanto and Seven Rivers are just having tremendous seasons.
Big time.
Both of them only have 3 losses on the year. Lecanto 20-3 overall. They're taking on Hernando High tonight. The last regular season volleyball match will be next week against a rival from Crystal River. Crystal River struggling a little bit this year, 7-12, but that'll be a big game, big match next week against Lecanto. Citrus, who kind of surprised everybody a little bit last year in the district tournament. They, got a win upsetting Lecanto at Lecanto in the district tournament. They're 12-10 on the year, but I think they showed last year that comes to postseason time, those young ladies are ready. So we'll keep you up to date and hopefully have a couple stories coming up here in the next few weeks about the volleyball teams. But Lecanto 20-3, Seven Rivers 16-3 on the year, and that's a tremendous effort by the young ladies.
Always
so
a great
congratulations.
program at Seven Rivers with volleyball. Very good job.
Yeah, doing a good job, and they had a great run last year in the state playoffs. Came to an end on their home floor. It was a packed gymnasium. I remember being out there. That was a heck of a night for girls volleyball. Just ran into a buzzsaw, but right back at it again this year, which really should come as no surprise. High school football, as we said, we get ready for another week, a rivalry week. Our game of the week will take place tomorrow night out at Citrus High as they welcome in the Lecanto Panthers. You can check that game out live stream on our YouTube channel. Citrus Preps is where you can find it, and you can keep up to date with everything we're doing. There's the Twitter account at Citrus Preps. The YouTube channel is Citrus Preps, Facebook and Instagram. We'll get underway just before 7 o'clock as the Panthers and the Hurricanes get set to play. And it should be a good ball game. Looking forward to it, no question about it. And we'll talk about that more in a little bit. But first of all, we'll get into what was a disappointing game for the Crystal River Pirates on Friday night.
That was a tough one.
Yeah,
28-6 loss against Nature Coast, and like a domination really for Nature Coast, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and it continues to struggle for Crystal River offensively.
Yep.
Some mistakes, and I think look back at everything I saw about that game. I think there was an opportunity there to make some plays, and I think we're still kind of at the point with Nature Coast that I don't think that they are the dominant team they have been the last couple of seasons.
That's
and I think maybe that might be the frustrating part for Crystal River is, that's a winnable game that they probably had if you don't make some mistakes and your offense makes some plays.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. It's kind of what you said is kind of neat because Nature Coast usually is, you come out, they know they're going to be a dominant player, but they're just kind of like up and down too, similar to what Chris River, but they're a little bit higher on that level from Chris River because Chris River, when they have a down game, they have a down game. And, the mistakes kill them, and Nature Coast comes away with the win. Still not a dominating win, but it is a win.
Yeah, and, look, Coach Lowry talked about it. I mean, he mentioned before the game last week, this was a big one. We're going to put this is huge. We know how much it means for the district. And now this week, he's got to get his kids refocused on a non-district game against the Villages, and he talked about how you go about that.
I can't tell them in one sense how important the game is and how significant it is, and then when it doesn't go our way, now all of a sudden try and say, I was just kidding, guys. That's not. We don't operate that way over here. We know that our guys are going to get up every week regardless of where we're at. For us, it's it didn't go our way, obviously, the way that we wanted to go, but there's still a lot of football left to play, including district play.
This mood this week is just we're keeping intensity up, getting ready for this week. Every week's a new week. We're just trying to get better and better. Honestly, last week was a bit rough on us. We all expected it to be a lot different in the outcome. But nonetheless, we all came to each other. We all helped each other. We picked each other up. And even though this week is a non-district game, we're still aiming to win. And we treat every game like it's the same. We don't treat it any different because it's a non-district.
And, you could use it as a springboard. They talked about it, finishing the season strong. There's still a chance. You never know how the district's going to play out. But one thing, if you're Crystal River, you got to win
W on the board.
Really, the rest of your games, and it starts with getting well against the Villages, which will be a tough task. We saw them against Lecanto.
I was pretty impressed with the Villages, especially their quarterback, and had some outstanding runners and good blocking up front. And Lecanto had their hands full with that. And they had a chance still, so I think that Crystal River definitely has a chance to put a W on the board here with the Villages. And that's, again, a team that went to the postseason last year, the Villages, and being able to get a W out of that, and push springboarding, like you said, into the final part of the season, that could definitely do something for Crystal River.
Yeah, one thing I will say, and look, not the season that Crystal River thought they were going to have up to this point. They still have a chance to, get things back together, but still a confident group. A lively practice out there this week. So I think that the kids and the coaching staff have everything going in the right direction. You just got to get some of those. We say offensive issues. I know the defense hasn't played perfect all year, but the defense has been pretty good. They've got to find some steady offense. And I know reading the article in the paper, Ethan McDaniel after the game last week said it's on me. I made some mistakes. I mean, and that's what you want from your leaders. You want them to step up and realize that they've got to do more. But they've got to just find some consistency on offense and give their defense a break.
That's the biggest downfall they've had this year. They've had some good games with the defense. You said, holding to no score on some of the games, but just try. I mean, you're holding Nature Coast to 28 points. That's not That's not too bad.
No, I mean, consider
who they are, and what they can do. But
I don't think that there's any question about that. That's what I meant. That game was right there.
It was there,
and this is not the behemoth of the Nature Coast Sharks that we've seen the last few years.
No.
Before we get into our game of the week, here's just look at the schedule. Denellen is off this week, a well-deserved week off. Interesting the way things ended up in that district, because you had Vanguard last week beating North Marion.
Yeah, that was
so maybe a bit of a surprise. So Vanguard and North Marion already have a loss in district. It's right there for Denellen.
They should be able to.
You beat North Marion. You're the district champion.
You're done.
And you're going to roll in as probably the number one in your region.
Yeah.
And set yourself up nicely for the postseason.
Well, they're ranked number 5 in the state right now. I mean, number 43 in the state overall on all teams. Number 5 in 5A.
Yeah.
So I mean, they're moving on. Price Harris has got those guys clicking on all cylinders.
Yeah, they've been playing good since the beginning.
Yeah.
I mean, there had not really been an off week with that program. They're rolling right through it.
Yeah.
Seven Rivers still looking for their first win of the season. They will take on